incomplete dominant. Everybody calls it co-dominant, and it's taken many, many years to break the hobby of that habit, but myself and a handful of others have, I think, pushed the narrative enough now that most people seem to understand, but you'll still hear it and see it now and again, that people think that co-dominant is actually a method of inheritance when it's not. Oh, I'm sure there are. I mean, I obviously don't know every species out there. I know that Borneos, their genetics is kind of a nightmare because pretty much everything they have is polygenetic. So nailing anything down specifically just doesn't happen very well. You know, in any given species, I'm sure you can find something that's kind of quirky or weird. Mike Wilbanks had a morph that he called Atomic or Eclipse or something like that, that looks like it could be a heritable form of paradoxism, but I haven't heard any real updates on how that went. It seems kind of like he himself dropped off on the project some with everything he had going on in his life, so what actually happened there, or if it got proven out, is sort of an enigma. There are a couple other morphs that follow the same kind of pattern where you hear about people having it, but then it gets distributed and then nobody seems to be able to replicate it other than the person that had it in the first place. Oh God. House snakes seem to be getting rather popular again. You know, a while ago they were starting to tick up kind of about the same time as the ball python craze, and then the ball pythons really overtook them. And now that people seem to be condensing back down or looking at other things, house snakes seem to be picking up. Yeah, that's about the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Nobody's really going crazy with lizards. Nobody's going crazy with turtles. I think most of the snakes are pretty well established. So I think, you know, if we get some new species in and established, you might see things. But even then, I don't know that anything will take the same level that we see with, you know, carpets and balls and cords, king snakes, things like that. In terms of the hobby, the most frustrating thing is probably that people know just enough about genetics to get themselves in trouble with what they actually think they know. Genetics is a lot more complicated sometimes than people give it credit for, and going with the high school explanation works up to a point, but a lot of times you have to go beyond that high school explanation, but people manipulate and bash on the high school explanation to make it work for things that just, the explanation is a lot different than what they're trying to make it out to be. Or people just grab a buzzword that they hear in the news and try to use it to explain something without actually knowing what it is they're talking about. You just have a lot of misappropriation of terms or misapplication of terms or strangling of real science in favor of, you know, well, but it fits in this box that I remember when I was in high school 20 years ago, so that's how I'm actually going to pretend that it is, and to hell with anybody who believes different.
All right. And what is the best thing about herpetoculture and genetics?
Again, that's going to probably be a more personal thing for different people. I like the morph game, but I like the morph game for a different reason than probably most people do. I like the morph game not because I'm chasing the dragon of the next big thing, the next big combo, you know, the next cash maker. I like the morph game because it gives me a chance to kind of play Frankenstein, getting to see the different combinations that I can make, or making the combinations, the morph combinations, to get, you know, the color and pattern and contrast that I personally find interesting. And if other people don't like it, well, then that's fine with them, or with me, because I didn't make it for them, I made it for me. That's why I like the genetic aspect of the hobby. My favorite morph has always been albino. and that goes back, 30 odd years when I first really got seriously into herpetoculture. When I made my first real snake purchase at 14, I bought an amel corn, and that son of a bitch moved all over the country with me and made it through most of my life with me, and got to be 27 years old before he keeled over. Just that albino stuck with me, and so albino morphs have always just kind of held a passion for me. And again, it's a simple morph. A lot of people think it's not very flashy, but I like it.